I'm Doris. I'm here to share with you about the updates in my stock account. Today, my stock account earned $989. US stocks mixed Nasdaq closed down. The market is waiting for tech earnings. So let's first take a look at my account. In my account today, today's PL is a gain of 1.28%. So right now, the net asset of my account is $74,281.82. Today, United Natural Gas rose 2.71% to 7.19 points, and UVXY decreased for 0.53% and then rose 0.27% in the post market to 3.76. And SPXU decreased for 0.23% and to 13.29, and SQQQ rose for 0.65% to 30.93. So today's market closed mixed. Dow Jones Industrial Average closed with a gain of 0.20%. Nasdaq Composite closed with a loss of 0.29%, and S&P 500 closed with a gain of 0.09%. Today, most of the industries' close varied within the range of plus or minus 2%. Healthcare industry rose for 1.46%. Oil and gas rose for 1.65%. On the other hand, the tech industries closed down by more than 1%. U.S. stocks closed mixed on Monday, with the Nasdaq closing slightly lower. Investors are waiting for earnings and the latest economic data from several big companies. And Chris Zaccarelli, Chief Investment Officer of the Independent Advisors, said, investors are a bit on the sidelines, waiting to see how the big companies report this week. He said that as tech companies has risen sharply this year, it would be hard to continue the rally after earnings. He noted that the communication services and information technology sector among the 11 components of the S&P 500 were the biggest so far this year, up more than 19% and 18% respectively. Zaccarelli said, a lot of the good news on tech stocks is already reflected in the prices, and tech companies needed more good news this week to really drive shares up. As the earnings loom, Michael Wilson of Morgan Stanley, a lead Wall Street short show, poses short-term risks to the stock market as the Fed is expected to raise interest rates further and corporate earnings growth is expected to slow. In a note on Monday, Wilson wrote, given our more pessimistic earnings outlook for this year, especially in the context of tightening liquidity, we see the situation poses a short-term risk to share prices. JP Morgan Chase warned that the current low volatility in stock masks the risk. JP Morgan strategist Marko Kolanovic said the trouble may be ahead of the investors who see the market recent downturn as a good time to buy stocks. He warns that such market dynamics, which artificially inhibits the perception of macro fundamental risk, are an anomaly and that current low volatility is unlikely to last long. Chicago Board Options Exchange chief equity strategist said, considering the rise in interest rates, financial environment tightening, and the geopolitical tensions, macro risk sentiment volatility index, VIX, also called Panics Index, is a very low level. This is the result of the option sellers dominate the market, because the option sell force days pullback and make the market prices almost unchanged for many weeks. About 76% of the S&P 500 earnings beat analyst expectations, the data showed. However, Refinitiv expects the S&P 500 company's earnings to fall by 5.2% overall, according to the first quarter. The earnings season entered its middle phase this week, with Wall Street closely watching the results of a number of super tech companies. Google's parent company Alphabet, Microsoft, Amazon, and Meta platforms will all announce results this week. On the super tech stocks, Aswa Damodaran, a professor of finance at the New York University's Stern School of Business, said, most of these companies use 2022 as an opportunity to dump all the bad stuff into their results. Damodaran added, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a lot of positive surprises from the results. CMC Market Chief Market Strategist Michael Hilson said, Several banks posted such better than expected last week, and it's the big tech stocks that have driven the most of the rally in the U.S. stock market so far this year. He said, with Microsoft, Alphabet, Meta Platforms, and Amazon all reporting earnings this week, we see a significant test of Nasdaq 100 performance up to date this year. Investors are also closely watching the latest economic data to gauge whether the U.S. inflation is cooling or whether the Fed will announce another rate hike at its next meeting early in May. Key economic data this week include first quarter GDP data and April consumer confidence data. AXS Investment CEO Greg Basok said, "We are so focused on economic data in part because we think the focus remains around the Fed and the interest rates. We believe that the economic reports in the next 7 to 10 days will be truly important driver of the Fed's financial actions." Basok added, "But frankly, we expect the data to be mixed. We believe that this will continue to cause uncertainty and ongoing volatility." That's all I have for today. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and like. See you next episode.